poke your head out there and let Thomas know we're going to get moving.
Why don't you tell him to go home?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Lower Allen Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting of November 22nd, 2021. Proof of publication of this meeting is available. We begin our meeting with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Let's pray. We pray this day to give thanks for all the many blessings bestowed upon our township. Watch over us who are entrusted with the administration of this township. Create in us the earnest desire to serve faithfully and permit us to experience the joys of noble service completed for our residents. Encourage cooperation from those who are served and those who serve. Help us to use every willing service and every effort put forth for good government. Heavenly Father, we ask your guidance to help us as commissioners to make the right decisions. We ask that you aid our staff as they perform the daily tasks of running our township, and we request that you be by our first responders as they protect our residents and see that they return home safe at the end of each day. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, thank you for joining us. My name is Dean Vallone. I'm currently the president of the Lower Allen Township Board of Commissioners. With us this evening is Vice President Black, Commissioner Shin, and Commissioner Kutz. And let the record know that Commissioner Holtzman is absent with excuse. Commissioners, at our meeting, in our packet this weekend, we received the meeting minutes for our regular meeting of October 25th and our November 8th regular meeting as well. We'll take those one at a time if there's no questions or comments or additions to those minutes.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion that we approve and accept the October 25th regular meeting minutes of the Lower Allen Township Board of Commissioners.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Shin, a second from Commissioner Kutz. Is there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
In like manner, Mr. President, I would move that we approve and accept the November 8th regular meeting minutes of the Lower Allen Township Board of Commissioners.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Shin, a second from Commissioner Kutz. Is there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next on our agenda this evening is a place for audience participation on any item on our agenda. At this point, we would ask if you're here to speak on any item on our agenda, please let us know now, and we will invite you up to the podium when that time comes. At this point, we're going to recess to executive session. We have two items to discuss in executive session. One is the appointment of Glenn McGatz as Assistant Public Works Director, and the second is appointment to the Recreation and Parks Board to fill an unexpired term of Allison Hanna until December 31st, 2022. Reconvene. I'm reconvening this Lower Allen Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting after we have been in executive session. Let the record show what time we have returned, please. I believe there might be a motion on the pending coming out of executive session.
Yes, Mr. President, I move to appoint Josie Doherty of 102 Limestone Drive to the Lower Allen Township Recreation and Parks Board to serve the unexpired term of Allison Hanna until December 31st, 2022.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kutz. I have a second from Commissioner Black. Is there any further questions or any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next is our consent agenda. Any commissioner, staff member, or anyone else in attendance who would like to have an item on the consent agenda removed for further discussion can request so now. Is there a request to have any item on the consent agenda removed? Hearing none, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda. There are 4 the department reports for the month of October for all the various departments. Tax collector's monthly October report, a check register of November 19th, and our 2022 public meeting dates.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kutz, a second from Commissioner Shin. Is there any further questions or any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I just have a question. Tom,
4-0.
the 2022 meeting schedule that was handed out in tonight's agenda, is that the same one that we got previously?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it previously had gone out to all the boards and commissions for their approval, and you all concurred, so.
Thank you.
Next, under your president, this evening, I'm looking to accept a motion to approve the job description for Assistant Public Works Director.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kutz, a second from Commissioner Black. Are there any questions or any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next, I'd be looking for a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-R-38, appointing Glenn McGatz as Assistant Public Works Director effective November 23rd, 2021. And I'll just make a quick note. This is an item that we just discussed in executive session prior as well. And this is some action regarding some of that discussion.
I'd make that motion, Mr. President.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Shin, a second from Commissioner Black. Are there any questions or any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And finally, I'd be looking to accept a motion to move Justin R. Lenker, a PSO in the Public Safety Department, from probationary status to full-time status effective November 24th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Shin,
Can I ask, I'm sorry.
and I have a second from Commissioner Kutz. Go ahead,
Can I
Commissioner.
ask a question? Is this a Lower Allen Linker?
I don't believe so. I
think so.
think
Okay.
he moved up here from
Linker has been
Maryland or something.
the Lower Allen? Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
No problem. Are there any questions or any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. At this point on our agenda, if there's any business pertinent to the township that you would like to discuss in person here this evening, discussions will be limited to about 15 minutes per person. Is there anyone here to discuss anything pertinent to the township? Seeing none, we'll move on to community and economic development.
On the agenda tonight is the approval of a revised subdivision, a minor subdivision and land development plan. This plan is for 145 South Locust Street. It's actually been already approved by this board and recorded. This is actually just to change. They have some easements that they wanted on the plan. It's right here and right here. This is so that these two individuals can get to their driveways on the backside here. We have Jeff Schick here tonight to discuss the plan, if anything. Or if there's any questions.
Yeah, I'll be real brief. Erin had it pretty much spot on in terms of what happened was, as she said, we recorded the plans and then the owner realized that there were some easements in language that provided access to those rear lots of the Stevenson property. And he said that they need to remain. So we'd already recorded the plan where had pulled those easements off the plan. They were previously existing throughout the course of the previous approval of 145 South Locust. This plan just simply puts those easements back onto the plan and provides those little stub access points to Stevenson Road, so those property owners can access the rear of their properties.
Which is Stevenson Road.
Stevenson Road is the proposed road right in the middle of the, basically splits the screen, going up and down. That's the proposed cul-de-sac that's being constructed now.
I've been watching it for years. How many townhouses will you have?
There will be 18 townhouses and 8 single-family residences.
And 8 single-family.
That's correct.
And that's the extent of what's going in there?
That's
26
correct.
homes.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Jeff Schick, SHYK.
Mr. President, if there are no other questions, I'll move to approve. Well, I'll move to waive the requirement contained in section 192-39.f, review by the Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and from Commissioner Kutz, and I have a second from Commissioner Shin. And just quickly, Mr. Schick, what is the name of your firm?
K&W Engineers.
K&W Engineering.
Yes.
Thank you. Just for the record.
Mr. President, if I may offer clarification on the motion, that this motion relates to SLD 2021-11 revised 145 Locust Street minor revision of a recorded plan.
I'm okay with that second.
Okay, I have a revised motion.
Just clarification for
A
the record.
clarified motion, and the second remains by Commissioner Shin.
Not making it easy. It's your last one. We're not making it easy.
Is there any questions or any
Call for the question.
further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Mr. President, I move for approval of SLD docket number 2021-11 revised final land development plan of 125, strike that, 145 Locust Street, contingent upon the following: Cumberland County Planning Department approval and HOP approval from PennDOT.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kutz. I have a second from Commissioner Shin. Is there any further question or any questions or further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Next on our agenda, this is up for discussion or possible action. It's a motion to adopt the Gettysburg Road Corridor Master Plan. And I'll note that prior to our regular board meeting this evening, we held a public hearing on this matter. So at this point, I would just say, Commissioners, if we have any further questions or any discussion we'd like to bring forward, now's the time to do it.
Mr. President, I guess I'm not going to be called, I'm not going to say I'm hung up, but I'm glad you put that up there, whoever did that. Aaron, thank you. That just reminded me of the picture we get right before the old Superman show used to come on television, and they'd say that he used to climb tall buildings with a single bound. I'm not excited about tall buildings. And I don't know if I'm the only one on the board who's not excited about tall buildings, and it'll be a short time where I won't be part of this. But I don't envision that in the Lower Allen that I've come to know and love. is there a way that we could moderate that somehow? I know that's just an artist's rendition, but that rendition doesn't give me any warm feelings.
So a lot of that district is already in the C4 and the I industrial and commercial corridor anyways. So the zoning in that area already permits up to 7 stories. And currently the hotel that's going to go in at the Lower Island Commons is going to be 5 stories. So this is not necessarily a change to that. It's just going to further revise it. And in fact, what it is going to do is by having transects that really focus on density, it's going to limit the density where it is appropriate and then scale it back down where it's not appropriate. The other thing I think that kind of came out of this plan is that based on the zoning that exists today, the corridor exists the way it does because of that zoning. So if we want to have a private investment and private incentive to redevelop, we need to provide a reason that they can come in and make some money. And based on the way that the zoning is now, there's not a whole lot of incentive. There's not a lot that they can do. And we know this firsthand, right? Because we had to go in and demolish a whole building and then start to build from the ground up, and it costs more. So what we're trying to do is allow for a larger building envelope to encourage some redevelopment, but we're trying to do it in a responsible way that is saying this is the area that makes sense for there to be a higher density, and these other areas do not make sense for higher density.
Well, our redevelop, if we were going to use that mentality, or that approach, not mentality, that approach, why didn't we just take the Bonton building and make it full of offices and so on? Because we already have there's a 2 or 3 story building, right? I mean, we tore it down and built something else. Are we going to tear down the buildings that are out there now along this road? Or are we going to? Maybe. I guess I'm the Lone Ranger. I won't be here very long, so you don't have me too much longer to worry about.
Yeah.
Well, Rick, the purpose of the study was to make recommendations as to how we could create kind of a town center corridor. And they do these graphic exhibits like Aaron has pulled up on the screen now to encourage creativity. What I'd suggest is before we have a developer walk in and grab a piece of land and come to us and want to do something that we agree as a majority that we don't want to see, that we meet with staff and have an understanding of some of the critical points that we want to have included. The comprehensive plan won't dictate the height of building, but the zoning ordinance and the land development and subdivision ordinance will. Mm-hmm. And so when staff is ready to do those laws, so to speak, they should have clear direction from us.
I think that's fair. Thank you, Commissioner.
And just a point of clarity, the zoning code allows a 75-foot maximum building height in the various districts that are involved, C4, industrial, commercial. Just clarifying, we don't really say a number of stories, it's 75 feet.
Okay.
Mr. President, I expressed my support for the concept at the public hearing, so I'll leave my remarks at what's already been transmitted there. If there's no other comments, I would be glad to make a motion to adopt the Gettysburg Road Corridor Master Plan.
Is that a motion, Thomas?
That is.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kutz to adopt the Gettysburg Road Corridor Master Plan. I have a second from Commissioner Black. Are there any further, is there any further discussion or any other questions for staff or anyone in attendance?
Mr. President, I would just like to, considering the fact that I'm probably a moot voice tonight, I would vote for the corridor master plan with trepidation about what that really means going forward. I'm not going to vote against that because I'm not against it. I'm concerned about the development.
I would also add to that I'm trusting that moving forward, and I trust the staff at this point, as I know you do, Commissioner, that each piece of this, if it gives you any comfort, I believe that we're all prepared to look at it as each piece comes along in a way that's makes sense and is the right thing for the township. I am looking forward to these things rolling out a little at a time. I know that we're not going to bite off any more than we can chew, and I think Commissioner Black's comments are good and really relevant here moving forward. And I think that's very good comments. Thank you, Commissioner. So if there's no further discussion or any other questions, all those in favor on this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Mr. President, going along with what we have just adopted, I move to adopt Resolution 2021-R-39, amending the Lower Allen Township 2018 Comprehensive Plan to include the Gettysburg Road Corridor Study.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kutz. I have a second from Commissioner Shin. Is there any other discussion on this matter? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, next is moving to our Township Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item I have on under me tonight is some good news regarding our health insurance. For a second year in a row, we've gotten a very, very healthy rebate of $219,201.68 from our health insurance trust, based on essentially low claims. And sometimes the way it works, it's kind of like the actual payment follows after the actual experience. So if we have a high claim year, they may increase our premiums, and then we have a low claim year and we get those premiums back. So we've gotten a very healthy, again, for the second year in a row, very, very healthy rebate. I know last year the board took action to waive employees' premium co-payments because of the amount. And I'm not asking you to do that tonight. You consider that something to give a little bit back to the employees that caused this rebate. So something to consider as we go forward, maybe at the next meeting or so, is maybe extending that waiver of premium co-payments for another 6 months or so. So I can tell you the employees really appreciated that. Donna Paul got some very good feedback from the employees, very appreciative of that.
Mm-hmm. So can you say what that amount is again?
Yeah, it's $219,201.68.
Okay. So I guess my question's for the director. I think I asked this last year too, perhaps the year before. Director Grove, is this amount of money then essentially going to just roll? I mean, we're probably going to have a surplus this year. Would just go into the fund balance? Something that we didn't understand would go into there, let's say 2 weeks ago or a month ago?
Yes, it's an unbudgeted amount of money coming in.
Okay.
But, and I've spoken to Director about, because we still have a fairly large unfunded liability with our police post-employment health benefit trust. So what I've been wanting to do is to take these funds when we get these rebates and put some of it towards the non-uniform employees, but also use the bulk of it to fund that unfunded liability. So while it may show as part of our, revenue, it's also it's not going to stay in the general fund to sit and do nothing. It's going to go over to the OPEB fund, the other post-employment benefit trust fund, to help pay that liability down a little bit.
Okay, and that action you'll bring to the board at some point? Or is that just something you guys do internally?
I think it's administrative, but I don't know. I don't remember if we've asked the board for permission to do that in the past.
Okay, I was just
We
curious.
just deposit it there, yeah.
Well, Mr. President, I would really like to hear from after some thought, hear from staff how we can do what we've done before with respect to, if we've had no play on words intended. We've had a healthy group of employees, hence the healthy rebate. How can we reward? I'd like to do, again, what we did, if it was last year, something, but make a projection, give us an idea of what it would be and how we could do it.
The,
Do you understand?
I do.
the total amount, 1 month worth of premium co-payments is $4,463, which totals $26,777 for 6 months. So if you were to waive the employee co-pays for 6 months, it would use up $26,777 of this rebate.
So moved.
I think, will you clarify your
I'd like
motion?
to give the employees a break on copay for the 6-month period at a cost of $26,777.
I have a motion from Commissioner Shin.
Well, I'll second it to get it on the floor, but then I have a question.
And gentlemen, just, I don't want to be the sort of the fly in the ointment, but it is not on the agenda, so perhaps, I mean, I think it's a great idea, and I'm not discussing public policy, but perhaps you want to do this at your next meeting, because
Okay.
you may have an Act 65 issue.
All right,
Yeah, this is the
there-
new rules, right?
Well, it is an expenditure fund, that would
Okay.
be my only concern.
But it is,
Thank you,
but it
sir.
is on the agenda.
Well, it's on the agenda, but, well, I mean, yeah, I agree.
The
So, I mean,
rebate
it's-
is, yeah.
I think I stand corrected, Mr. Bruno I think it meets Act 65.
Okay, so, Mr. Solicitor, you're saying that the motion, having this motion on this agenda meets the Act 65?
The rebate comes back to the township. I think the Act 65 portion that's of concern is now you're making an expenditure for the benefit of the employees. I mean, I don't know that that's clear from the manager's note. I think the
Well,
manager was letting you know that you were getting that fund.
if Commissioner Black will withdraw his second, I'll withdraw the motion and make it a strong suggestion that we do it going forward.
Yeah, I would like to see this on the next agenda.
I will withdraw my second,
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, so,
but I still have a question for Tom. Tom, the concept that Rick talked about, does that fit in with the financial planning?
I'm sorry, which concept was that?
To
This
do a
rebate.
6-month,
It's
Credit.
an immaterial amount. I mean, when you compare it to the fund balances and the budget and everything, it's a pretty small amount. So it's not going to hurt anything.
And there's a precedent. That's why I made the motion.
And again, it's an unanticipated revenue, so it's not reducing our budgeted expectations, our budgeted surplus or deficit.
Thank you for indulging me, Mr. President, and the board.
okay. So, Tom, you want to move on then? Or,
Sure. So, well, that'll show up on your 12-13 agenda then for action.
okay,
The next item I have is I did send out a memo to the board with the appointments and reappointments that the board can expect to see at your reorganization meeting in January. just to put them out there to discuss any that need to be discussed. As you can see, there was at least 3 of them on there that are new. They're appointments to fill positions of folks that decided they did not want to continue on. So, Mr. Bonkarowski, who is currently our alternate to the ZHB, he declined reappointment, as did Mr. Griner on our Civil Service Commission. And I believe our, is it on there? Vacancy Board chair moved out of the township, so there's a new name on there for the Vacancy Board.
I think he lives in Bethany Village, Tom, but that's okay.
Oh, doesn't he? Okay. I wasn't sure where he lived. I didn't.
So we'll take this up in the first business meeting of 2022, right?
Yes, if there's no objections to any of these appointments, they will show up on your agenda for appointment or reappointment on at the reorganization meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything further?
Nothing for me.
Okay. So it looks like after commissioner reports, we're going to go back into executive session to discuss 2022 non-uniform pay rates. So we'll start commissioner reports this evening with Director Hull.
Thank you. I'll yield my time to the captain to talk about the CALIA information when it comes time.
Two quick items. Number one, a reminder that on the 13th of December at 6 p.m., we have the second public hearing on the wireless communications facilities ordinance amendment. Hopefully it'll be a lot briefer than the initial hearing because we sifted through all the comments and have planning recommendations. So it's pretty much the short version that we discussed at your last meeting when you authorized the second hearing.
What was that date, John?
At the 13th of December at your next regular meeting.
okay,
There'll be a 6 p.m.
Yeah.
public hearing, and I would expect it would be much more condensed because it was really assimilate all the
I
comments.
just didn't get the date.
Number two, I wanted to thank the township on behalf of Yellow Breeches Watershed Association for use of facilities again this year. We used the Fern Lawn Pavilion and the dog park area for the cleanup event, and we used the barn for our annual event. We just had our annual meeting on the 18th of November with discussion of microplastics and forever plastics in the watershed. So hopefully there are people tuning in or will watch this later. Just want to remind folks that we do have openings on the board of directors and always have openings for volunteers, and hopefully early December we'll be able to release our 2022 calendar of events. Thank you.
Steve?
Very briefly, just happy Thanksgiving to commissioner, staff, and all you folks. And if you're traveling, I hope you're safe and enjoy your long weekend. I know I will. Thanks.
Assistant Manager Trone? Director? Michelle? Awesome.
May already know this is my last meeting. So I just wanted to thank everyone for being so kind and professional, and I learned a lot in the short time I was here. Mr. Vano has extended an opportunity for me to act as a fill-in, which I did discuss with my husband, and it sounds like he's on board with that. So you may see me here again in the future in 2022. Thanks.
Thank you.
You did a great job, Michelle.
It's been great having you, Michelle.
We'll miss you.
Tom?
Agreed. I couldn't say it better myself. I've enjoyed having Michelle here, taking these minutes. She's a very, very quick study and does pretty good minutes. I don't have to change much. So thank you, Michelle. And I hope you do come back as a fill-in every once in a while. So I have nothing further.
Commissioner Kutz?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two public safety items tonight. The first has to deal with Ross Moyne Road. This has been an ongoing discussion since the new school was built and PennDOT made the unilateral decision to remove the signs indicating school zone speed limit 15 by declaring Ross Moyne Road a dangerous roadway. Recently, we saw the impacts of that decision, and a pedestrian who lived right across the street from the school lost his life at that crosswalk. Mr. President, I bring this up tonight because my morning commute takes me past Ross Moyne Elementary School and that crosswalk every single morning, right around the time that school children are being walked across the street from their homes. Mr. President, PennDOT may look and decide that students there should be bused. The reality is students are walking to school. Parents are taking them for a nice morning walk in the fresh air, encouraging them to exercise. I'm troubled by PennDOT's decision and understand that they made it according to their parameters, and I understand that our board has reached out to them and done what we can to ask them to assist, because pedestrian safety at that intersection and crosswalk is a huge concern. I'm also encouraged by the steps that Director Hall and staff have indicated may be coming forward, including better signage and warnings that the crosswalk is upcoming. Mr. President, secondly, and also on a school-related item, over the weekend, I was approached actually by several teachers at Cedar Cliff about our progress in having a school resource officer. This in response to a Facebook post from a parent after an incident of a fight at Cedar Cliff in which a staff member was injured. Mr. President, it is concerning to me that the rise of these incidents is occurring at such proliferation. Principal Philgrove sent out an email and note to parents indicating their rise in these incidents this school year and asked for support from the community in addressing this. Mr. President, the support from the community that we can offer is our support for a school resource officer. I've been encouraged by the conversations I've had with police and Captain Crone and Director Hall, and believe that we're moving in the right direction. We continue to encourage West Shore School Board to join us in a partnership, encourage them to seek state funding that would cover a school resource officer in its entirety and offer Lower Allen Township services to bring on an additional officer to our complement to serve as a school resource officer. Mr. President, these efforts are all to make our community a little safer, to provide us safe streets, safer schools, and a safer community. I'm grateful for the law enforcement who are able to respond to these issues and deal with them in an appropriate manner. And I look forward to the day when we can provide teachers a little more safety at Cedar Cliff so that our teachers and students who deserve a place to feel safe when they go to school in the morning do indeed have that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shin?
Well, I'd just like to say I've got two more meetings, and I would extend the same request that I might come and substitute for Commissioner some night. I guess that won't work. I don't have anything, Mr. President.
Vice President Black?
Oh, I have nothing tonight, thank you.
All right, and before I say a couple of things, Captain Crone? Hey, Captain, would you come up to the podium? Thank you.
As has been mentioned before, we have. Take three. As has been mentioned before, we have our CALIA assessment upcoming. That's Monday and Tuesday of next week, the 29th and 30th. Between 2 and 4, there is a call-in session for the public. We can call in at 717-975-7581. That will roll over to a CALIA assessor, and they will be able to take whatever statements you would like to make about the police department and their ability to comply with the CALIA standards. If not then, that evening at 6 p.m., we'll commence a public hearing with the assessors on the other end of a Zoom call to hear anything that anyone might have to say about the police department, and again, their ability to deliver services here and comply with CALIA standards. So welcome anyone to avail themselves of either one of those opportunities to speak to our abilities to comply with those standards. And hopefully all goes well. And you could also, if you so choose, send them a letter or send them an email. If anyone wants that, you can reach out to me. It's also on the public notices posted in the lobby and on our Facebook page. So if you feel so moved to do that, it's there.
Okay. Thank you, Captain.
Sure.
Captain Deven, anything for us this evening? Okay. Well, and the two other gentlemen who so graciously have been patient with us, Commissioner-elect Nagy, do you have anything this evening, Dad? Okay. And then Mr. Schwartz, thank you for being here again and making your comments. I would just like to say I attended the annual Yellow Breeches Watershed Association annual meeting the other night. It was very well done again. This past year, given some of the limitations, I think the events that the organization put forward were probably as good of, if not better attended than some other years. So it seems like that group is growing, and I would encourage any residents or anyone who would have any interest in what goes on the Yellow Breeches outside of just tubing and kayaking to contact the Yellow Breeches Watershed Association. It's a great organization. I look forward to being a part of their events in 2022 as well. Back to the Gettysburg corridor study and that adoption we made into the comprehensive plan this evening. I have the utmost faith now. It's been growing that I believe the relationship that the board has and has been able to have with staff moving in the last few years and moving forward now. I have so much faith that each step of the way as things roll out, I know 20 years is a long time away and things change. I mean, a generation changes, and so you really can't tell what's going to happen in those out years. And we might be looking at things completely different, but I have more faith now than I did 4 years ago, and I had a lot of faith then, but I have more now that each step of the way, we're going to do the right thing, and it'll be presented to the board in a very transparent way when things are being asked, and some hard decisions might have to be made. I know that we will vet those things well together. So I really appreciate all the hard work Aaron, you and the other staff members have put into that project. It's exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to moving into 2022 and seeing what we can get going. So having said that, we are going to either adjourn or recess. Are we coming back to take any action?
I'm not expecting any action
Okay.
on this tonight. Adjourn is fine.
I would like to thank everybody for being with us this evening, and those that joined us via the live stream. Thank you for sticking with us, and we'll see you on December 13th.